As leaders grapple with big questions about the future of Jewish community and Jewish life, I'm honored to bring together some of the finest minds and leading thinkers on what the future might look like and what we need to do to get there. We can't wait around and hope for the best. We have to create our own future because the future is starting now. Friends, I am so excited. I am so honored to welcome Sari Kopitnikoff. Sari is an experiential educator, a digital artist, educational performer, and content creator. She's passionate about creating books, games, activities, shows, and virtual challenges that bring Judaism to life. She's the author and illustrator of My Davening Diary. Oh, wait, I have mine here. I forgot to bring it. Wait, I have to go get it. Wait. My Davening Diary, got it right here. Sorry, it's reversed, I know. And Jew Imagine That, both of which earned spots on Amazon's bestseller list. You can find lots of free there you go, Jewish educational materials on thatjewishmoment.com. We'll talk more about that later. Definitely want to follow Sari on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at That Jewish Moment. Sari, I am so happy to have you here. How are you?
Thank you. What a great intro. I mean, I did write the bio, but very well read. Thank you. Happy to be here.
You wrote the bio and you wrote the book. I was so excited when this just came out, right?
It's very fresh. Smell it.
Yes, it is very fresh. I feel like I have so much that I need to learn from you. You are the queen, it seems, of Jewish educational social media. Let's just start with, how did you get into this? What prompted you to go down this path?
Thank you. In all honesty, it was one of those shower light bulb moments. This was back in 2014. And I had just stumbled upon Instagram. My siblings convinced me to get a personal account. And I just saw the need for positive Jewish content. So I made an account, emailed everybody I know, sign up, follow That Jewish Moment. And my first followers were my mom, my siblings, but eventually the page really grew and reaches all continents. I'm not sure about Antarctica, but there are Jews of all backgrounds, Jews and non-Jews, who have been following the page for years. And it's just really a privilege to be part of such a project.
And did you do this for yourself, or did you have a particular student or learner in mind? Who did you imagine benefiting from some of this work?
It's a great question. I actually had in mind teenagers. I thought this is a project for them, for those students out there. But in the analytics on social media, I can see that the page ended up reaching majority people between 20s and 30s and young adults. So I've adjusted accordingly. That's really what you got to do with social media. Listen to the people, see who's coming and what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we were talking before about how little I know about social media. I kind of get Facebook, kind of get YouTube. TikTok, I don't get. Can you walk me through the power of TikTok?
I love TikTok. Don't quote me on that, but yes, no, TikTok is a very, very interesting place. There's so much potential there for finding like-minded people, and that's why teens and all ages, actually, there's hashtag mom talk, there's like over 40 talk, there's everybody is on TikTok in little pockets, and the ability there to stitch a video with someone, which means you see a video and you can add on your video on top of that. So there's a lot of potential there.
Is that whole, what was that song, Craze? Do you know what I'm talking about? There was this.
Not yet.
There was this. Sorry.
Say more.
There was this whole thing with like a seafarer song, and this one guy started, and all these other people added their videos on top of it. Is that
that you can do that on TikTok.
Okay.
And it's just the way the platform is built. Well, it's really built to keep consumers on it, which has definitely its cons.
Sure.
But it's a super powerful platform in terms of reach and finding your people. So hashtag JewTalk or Jewish TikTok, it's a very happening place. And there's also a lot of room there for education and connection and community.
Now you're doing. I'm actually peeking at your at that Jewish moment on Facebook. So you've got art up here. I mean, this was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And so is this
Art
all
is my
just
coping mechanism.
yeah? Is this just hand painted,
It's
drawn? Is it
all
digital
digital
work?
art. Yes,
It's
I
all
use an
digital.
iPad, and the best drawing app ever is Procreate,
Yeah,
and it's very natural. I use a stylus, and it feels like I'm drawing, except instead of erasing, I just undo, two finger
yeah,
tap.
yeah.
So it's really powerful.
Wow. And then you've got look at this three. I love this 3 second prayers. Three examples of three. Please help this conversation go smoothly. Yeah.
I do them all the time, right before signing on. I just put in a good word.
I mean, what is your goal in creating this content? What are you trying to do with all this content?
I think I've always felt very passionate about my own curiosity and imagination and discovering the magic within Judaism. And I feel like it is my mission to share that and to help people access the joy of Judaism through fun, play, laughter, games, creativity. As Jewish people, we love to kvetch, but which is, there's so much room for us to also celebrate,
Yeah.
l'chaim.
Absolutely. We need more lachaims, more joy, less oi. I think, right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, yeah. What when you do you ever do synchronous teaching, like through Zoom or even on site? Do you do that also, or do you
I
really
do.
live in social media?
I do. No, I do. Both on Zoom and actually in the classroom. I love that. The ability to make live, not, no 3 second lag, in real life, eye
Right.
contact and connection. Um, but one of the benefits to being online is that um, you don't have, the masks where you can really fully face to face communicate and understand each other. And I ran a session on Zoom that I think 5 countries were present, and that's the
Wow.
amazing thing about virtual learning.
Yeah, your capacity to share what you've created and that you were saying before, the joy, yeah, the capacity that you have to share that to such a broad audience from all over the world is the internet just amplifies that. Do you
100%.
do you find that do you find that the way that you teach in the classroom is different than the way you may approach a similar teaching online?
Uh, yes and no. Like, I have to make tweaks, but I have the same course. I'm currently doing a game design, game development course. I'm doing it in person and also over Zoom. It's the same thing. I just figure out, I have to problem solve. Oh, wait, how do I do this if I don't, but there's always a way.
But game design meaning you're teaching
I'm teaching
people
students
how
the
to
process that I use when I make games all the time. I
but you're
make
not
and
talking
sell
about
games.
coding games. You're talking about
No, like
right.
print, yeah,
Because I
good old
downloaded,
old
I actually
games.
grabbed your You did a Tu B'Shvat game. Was it a Tu B'Shvat game? Yeah, I think it was. Wasn't it?
Could be. I have a few.
Yeah, I'm sorry. No, but you just posted one the other day, and I think I'm trying to find it. I can't find it right now. I downloaded it. So creating, helping kids create their own games to
Yeah.
learn. Yeah.
I gamify everything. I mean, my husband comes home from the grocery, and he'll say, "Guess who I saw at the store?" I will never like it is always going to be a game. We're going to play 20 questions. Or what I'm
Right.
telling him about what happened in my day, we'll play two truths and a lie. It's just the way I see everything is how can we gamify this?
Wow. And so one of the things that you want to do is to gamify Jewish learning, Jewish knowledge,
That's
Jewish
what I've been doing. That's
experience.
what I've been
Yeah.
doing since the pandemic started, really. Figure because suddenly families are more responsible for Jewish education now that lots of schools have been either going virtual or shutting down. So sharing the games that I've always been in charge of kind of making at my own family gatherings, sharing them online. And it started, I think the first game that I shared on my website is called Seder Active, which thousands of families downloaded and used
That's
at their
amazing.
Seder.
That's amazing. Did this all really start for you when the pandemic hit?
Kind of. Like, my Instagram
Yeah.
account was going and since 2014, but, I remember it was in March, 2020, that famous year,
Yeah.
and I posted a story on my Instagram asking, "How can I be helpful?" Suddenly all these parents were homeschooling, and with no prep and also doing their own jobs and having to juggle all of that. Um, I put out a few choices, and the one that got the most votes was we need content, educational content. So I started making things.
It's it's interesting because I've been thinking a lot about that transition, how so many parents became the primary teachers, not only
Yes.
of Yahadut, not only of Judaics, but of everything. And in some ways, we have, in some ways, we set ourselves up for this moment. And what I mean by that is that back in the what was it, the 60s, maybe when I was growing up, I went to Hebrew school in the
I
70s and
thought
the
you were gonna say the
80s.
shtetl, back in the
No, I'm an
shtetl.
old fart. No, but when I that what the synagogue said to us was, in the liberal Jewish world, what the synagogue said to us is, give us your kids on Sunday mornings, or for me it was 3 times a week plus Sundays or whatever it was. Give it. We'll teach them. Don't worry about it. You don't, just drop them off. And and so we trained parents to not really know how to teach their children about Judaism by saying, "Don't worry about it. We got this. We'll take care of it." And now all of a sudden, and so then during the 80s and the 90s, it was all about family education, and we were railing about how we want people, we want to bring Judaism back into the home. Well, guess what? Now
Mhm.
it's only in the home, still in some parts of the country and of the world, and
Totally.
it's now been, so that responsibility has been pushed back on our parents, and having people like you to give them the tools and the resources to do what we sort of trained out of them is so vitally important. Have you been hearing from parents that the tools that you're creating are that they're using them, and how
Oh,
is it
thank God,
impacting?
yes.
Yeah, how is it impacting their kids and the families?
I mean, the best thing I get is emails in my inbox with complete, activity packets filled out, with, little messages from their kids or
The,
from their students.
So they do these activity packets, then they send them back to you. Is that
They'll
just so
send
you can see
pictures.
them?
Yeah.
That's
Sometimes I say
so
I'd love
that's
to
so
see. I love
special.
student work. I
Yeah.
love to see and also everyone answers them so differently. So let's say my davening diary, someone sent me a picture of her um, niece, I think 6 or 7 years old, and then someone else sent a picture, and an adult was filling it out. So I love that, to be able to help a variety of ages, backgrounds, religious identities, etc.
I was just doing something that has nothing to do with us, and forgive me, but I want to. You just made me think of it. Oh, no, I'm not going to be able to find it. It was about davening.
Hmm.
Do, do you find there's a difference between davening and praying?
Um, I could answer either way. Is there a
Yeah.
difference? I think the word davening has that cultural richness to it. In fact, I was really back and forth about naming this book. I like all of my work
Yeah.
to be approachable by Jews of all backgrounds and knowledge amounts. So I was back and forth. Should I call it prayer pages, my prayer journal, or
Right.
davening diary? And I kept coming back to davening, and so did and the people could tell. My followers were saying, stick to it, go with what you want. So that's why, I think the byline, the subtitle is very important. That's where it says, to help you get into a prayer mindset, because I
Yeah.
think they can be interchangeable. But the word davening it's such a personal word to me. I guess it's the word that I've always been connected with. recently I was speaking to an educator who said the word davening, actually, we don't know the source for it. It's a word with an unknown source.
Daven.
And one of the ideas of where the word came from is daf, turning pages, davening, like kind of
Huh.
flipping through. And is that really what we're doing? So it's a mysterious word,
Wow.
but it also labels this book as this is a Jewish prayer book. The word prayer, and I see this on
Right.
hashtags. Prayer brings all the people from the world to the hashtag because we all have our way of praying, but this is specifically a Jewish way to connect with God.
Yeah, I spent some time as a chaplain up at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and I'll never
Oh,
forget. I would walk around to the different rooms, and I'd walk in and I'd ask people if they'd like to share a prayer with me. The Christians, 9 times out of 10, yes. The
right.
Jews, no,
Oh,
because
wow. Right.
praying outside of a context that we're familiar with, praying outside of the context of a shul, a synagogue, or a temple, or Shabbos, or even any of the three davenings that we do each day, Shacharit, Mincha, Mariv, felt, I don't know, it didn't feel natural. And so again, I think that some of what, that 3 second davening, 3 second prayer thing that you had up, and I mean, I'm looking through some of the questions that you ask in there. Others who will be in my tefillot today, something I want to tell God today, an area in my life in which I noticed God. It reminds me a little bit. Do you know? Hold on. Talking to God, Rabbi Naomi Levy. Do you know Rabbi Naomi Levy?
Not yet.
So I love that. I love that growth mindset language, by the way.
Right. Growth mindset.
That's that's fantastic. So Rabbi Naomi Levy is an amazing rabbi out on the West Coast. She wrote a book called Talking to God. And it's just a collection of her prayers. And there's prayers in there for everything, prayers for divorce, prayers for joyful, prayers for everything. But what's so powerful about that book to me is that it doesn't sound, I'm going to regret that I'm saying this. It doesn't sound like prayer. It's not blessed art thou. It's, hey God, I'm really struggling today. Or
I
hey
love that
God,
actually. I don't hate
yes,
it. I love it. I'm so
no,
with you on that. It
I
shouldn't be
no what.
intimidating to,
Right. No, what I don't like, what I'm uncomfortable with is saying that it didn't feel like prayer, because all of this is
I
prayer,
see.
but it
Right.
doesn't feel like the traditional form of prayer. And that's what that's what the Davening Diary reminds me of. It gives people permission to just say to follow Reb Nachman and imagine that God's your best friend. You can tell God anything, right? It's so powerful.
Now, I've
Well,
actually never said this, what I'm about to say, because it
okay.
is very
Wait a
personal, but I
second.
just,
I have one.
yes.
I'm ready. Go.
Okay. When I was younger, and I hope I don't regret saying this, it's just, it's always been very personal, like a secret, I guess. When I was younger, in my conversations with God, I felt like the word love was too trite, too overused. So I made up my own word. I'm not even sure. Maybe I want to keep the word private.
You
But I
keep the
made
word
up a
private. It's
word
between you and God. Yeah.
that I would, sometimes I would write a note to God, and at the end, I would always have that refrain, I blank you. And it was a word that you will not find on Google. It is not a real word.
Yeah.
I made up, a combination of letters, but I felt like I needed to have that for, when talking to God. Like, I
Wow.
can't use it. I love pizza. There's
Right.
so many things I love. Like, I
Right.
needed a
Right.
special word.
How do you even? Right. It's the kiviyachol. There's in rabbinic parlance. Sometimes they'll say, when you're talking about God, they'll say kiviyachol, like as if you could say
As it were.
anything at all. As if we could find any word to describe how we feel about God. Let me ask you about so. Davening is so much about a relationship with the divine in some ways. How do you find building relationships with your students or with your listeners or with your watchers or the people who get your games and play your games? How are you building those connections? And I'll just say one last thing, and then I'll be quiet. I promise that I said to you before we started that as I've watched you on Facebook, even when you're dressed up in the costume, I've always felt that there's something very real, very authentic, very natural about what you're sharing, and it. I had not met you until today, and yet I have felt in watching you on your social media that there was a connection there. And I'm not sure that you did anything intentional to make that happen, but I think that the way you present yourself, the way you teach Torah, it just happens very naturally. What does that process
Thank
look
you.
like?
I love it. I really appreciate everything you're saying. And I like specifically how you mentioned intentional because a lot of what I do is kind of just the way I do it and the way I've always done it. But lately, when people have been asking me questions like this, I'm really trying to tap in to why do I do it that way, or how do we get there so that others can do it too. One thing I would say is it's in the details. All of the character play that I do, when I put on costumes and do wacky characters, it's really about capturing those little details, like the little idiosyncrasies. And in relationship building, it's the same thing. It's sharing little details, personal details from my life, and tapping into and listening to the details from other people's lives. And that's really what TikTok, just to, everything connects to TikTok. To go back to TikTok for a moment, the videos that go viral are often videos talking about the tiny little details in life, like that moment when you are on hold with a customer service and they say your call is important to us, like the tiny little details in life. And that's really actually what inspired me to build the whole That Jewish Moment Instagram page. Have you ever heard of Neil Pasricha of 1000 Awesome Things?
No, I don't think I
I would
have.
say one of my life Bibles. He was going through a hard time. He had just lost his best friend to depression. His marriage had just crumbled, and he wanted to create some kind of online collection of the best things in life. So he started a blog, 1000awesomethings.com, and it started out as a tiny little blog. He said traffic doubled when he told his mom about it. It was just, two visitors. But he won the Webby Award, and his book is a
Wow.
national, international bestseller of 1,000 awesome things. And they are the tiny little things like walking by a bakery and getting that fresh bakery smell, finding
Mm,
money in your pocket, the little things. And that's how I live my Jewish life, noticing the little details of, crunching into a piece of matzah, that first bite, or spotting a kippah out in public. Of, hey, we're in Kansas and I see a kippah,
yep.
So I would say building a relationship with God for me personally is about those little details. It's not about like Judaism, the big things. Like it for me, it's the little moments. And I think also, working with students is the same kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm I'm looking at. I'm getting a little distracted because you're eating fruit on Tu B'Shvat. How,
Yes.
how what are you using to do this?
This is TikTok. This is a trend on TikTok where you eat emojis, and the thing with I don't like in the beginning starting TikTok a few weeks ago. I'm still new there. I was
You just
I
started
was
TikTok a few weeks ago?
yes.
Wow.
So the way to really build on TikTok is to see these trends that people are doing and to do them. And as a creative person, I felt a lot of resistance to that. Hey, other people are doing it, I don't want to do it. But
Right.
that's the beauty of these trends because you can take a trend and think, how can I put my personal spin on this? So
Right.
there is no other.
You're taking this trend and you turn it into a Tu B'Shvat activity.
Exactly, right. So that's where the fun is. I actually think the more restrictions you have, the more creative you can be. So I'm now seeing that on TikTok. Like, how can I take this exact, this limit, this trend, and turn it into something?
I'm wondering about how do we get. I mean, what a fun, cute little activity for kids. How do we get kids to do this? Right? How do you start a new trend of picking what foods to eat on Tu B'Shvat or something, and have
Right.
all your kids do that? You
Yeah. Could
know,
be they might already be on it. They might be ahead of you. Could be they already
I
made this trend.
I just love it so much. What do you have you been working with any schools that have been learning from, not so much using your content, but learning from you about how to do this kind of work?
So I work with a lot of schools actually. I get a lot of emails like, how can we present this, any ideas for how to use this in the classroom. I love that kind of challenge. But I also do locally, little workshops of how to use my davening diary or how to
Yeah.
um, make that meaningful. I love schools because I think that's really the future. And the schools are kind of at the top of the food chain. They can really help um, affect change. So I think that's a powerful place to work with.
Yeah, I just found the Jewish Thought packet I downloaded. Sorry, sorry. This is the one I got. I mean, look, it's just there's such great
I have
stuff
so
in
much
here.
fun with this stuff. My favorite, you see the bag of the door. That
Yeah,
um, so a synagogue reached out to me also at the beginning of the pandemic. Can you make a virtual program for us? And I said yes, because that's where all the fun begins. So I started doing digital escape the room games. So this is a Purim, it's a whodunit game.
right,
And the cool thing is it exists only on Google Drive. Like it's a whole game, just you
right.
can make your own on Google Slides with Google Forms that are locked.
I actually
Um,
think I bought this also. Wait a second.
oh,
The bag, activity bag. I don't know. I think I have it somewhere.
that's so funny.
Yeah. Wow. So another thing that you're doing that's interesting to me, when I think about how other educators can access what you're doing, is that, and this is not, I'm not minimizing at all the amount of work you put in, but it seems quite simple. Having things available through Google Drive, as
Yeah,
opposed to
exactly.
using some fancy schmancy program that
Right.
people have to log into or whatever. It makes it very, very accessible.
I'm not fancy.
You're, you're
Ever.
not
Unless
fancy.
I'm in costume as a fancy person.
Yeah, wait. I really want to find something of you in costume, but I don't want to scroll. You don't do a lot. See, some of these TikTok things are only on your personal page. They're not on. Wait, here's a costume. They're not on your.
Don't be ridiculous.
You're not posting all these over on the That Jewish Moment page.
No, most of them are. Oh, you see, a lot of these are reels or Instagram videos or TikToks. Facebook has not yet caught on to that. So the video, everything that I post on Instagram automatically goes to Facebook, but the reels are not. So sometimes I have to manually do it after if I remember it.
Oh, interesting. Okay, interesting.
That's my Rabbi
Wow.
Glorgenstein over there.
What do you say?
That's Rabbi Glorgenstein you're looking at.
This is right here.
Rabbi Pinchas Glorgenstein, yes.
I love it. I love it. Just fantastic. What do you think the place of online Jewish learning is going? What is the future of Jewish education looking like through social media, through online
There's no
outlets?
going back, I tell you.
You think so? Really? Do you think so?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do. And I also think a lot of people are very pessimistic about the future. I feel very optimistic. I feel excited by all these tools and the community potential on the social media platforms. So a lot of people, like to hate on them, but I think it's a really powerful place for people to find their people. So I'm excited by it. I'm teaching a class in February, God willing, with Truvi. I don't know if you're familiar with Truvi. It's from the Jewish Education Project.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah. Of
synchronous
course.
learning, and it's connecting kids all over the globe. So it's super powerful. You're no longer limited by, the teachers in your little community. The world is huge and tiny.
Yeah.
It's a small world after all. It's a big world after all. It's a world. It's a great world. Thank God.
Absolutely, absolutely. And one of my goals here is to let people is to share that exact message. Is that they don't have to create everything themselves. We I think for a long time we're stuck in a mindset of competition. This shul
Mhm.
is sort of wrangling for the members of this shul, and this rabbi does great adult education, but this rabbi doesn't. one of the things that I've learned, and I think that we've learned, is that that's all nourishkeit, because
Right.
that rabbi should be, if that rabbi is really good at teaching adult, then they should be teaching adult education to every shul in town.
Totally.
And that our competition are the opportunities that we're not grasping, that we're not taking in this moment. And I'll tell you that, and I've used this as an example a lot because I think it's really powerful. I don't know if you are familiar with Behind the Bimmer.
I recognize that.
Yeah.
Rings a bell
So
somewhere over here.
Behind the Bimmer is a I guess they call it a podcast. I think they do.
Yes.
From Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg. Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg is the
Oh,
one of the
yes, in
Orthodox
Florida.
rabbis here in Boca, and he's as frum as they come. He would never, use Zoom on Shabbos. Never, not in a million years. That doesn't. It wouldn't even cross his mind, and yet he, in this moment, has taken advantage of all that the internet offers. He did, and this is just one example. I mean, he has classes all the time online, all the time, and and he's had the most amazing people on this show. I mean, the other day he had Nissim Black, which is so cool. I mean, if people don't know who Nissim Black is, he's
He's the greatest
a Jewish
rap star.
rapper. Yeah, he's fantastic. Chief Rabbi David Lau, Avram Fried. I mean, come on, Sheryl Sandberg.
He gets big names.
He is getting big names, but more importantly than that, he's taking advantage of the tools that he has available to him to reach his congregation, to reach his congregants, and to share Torah with the wider world. And it's so important in this moment, especially in light of the fear, I think, that has been brought up yet again in Jewish communities, to never feel like we should be hiding our Torah.
Right.
We should be sharing it. We should be shouting it from the rooftops. And if these technologies help us do that, I don't want to diminish them by calling them silly, but if making silly TikToks help you share your Torah, then by gosh, I need to get on TikTok.
Yes.
I guess.
For you.
Unbelievable. Sorry, if people want to learn more about the work that you're doing and sort of your philosophy, where can they find you? Where should they go?
You could either try spelling my name into Google, but you'll probably get, messed up on the last name, Kopitnikoff. You can look up That Jewish Moment, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp. My next, I want to work on Pinterest next. I'm not there yet.
Really?
Yeah.
I've tried
And
Pinterest.
have you?
I've
Not
tried
your
it.
thing.
But I'm old, so it doesn't surprise me.
No,
That's
I
not
wouldn't
my
say
thing.
that. Well,
no.
that Jewish moment. Yeah, no, you're never too. What's the phrase? Never too young, never too old. I don't know, but I believe I'm 11 years old
You're 11.
permanently. Yes, I'm
I
11.
like that. I
That's
like
my
that.
permanent age.
Thatjewishmoment.com is where people can find you. And look at all these amazing, I mean, oh my goodness. The artwork is beautiful. I want to get you hooked into Discover Jewish Art. So I did this with
Is that Joanne?
yeah, I did this with Joanne. We built this together.
Oh wow, it's beautiful.
Because we really want people to be able to find really good, not just Google and
Right.
steal images, but really and credit the artists and things like that. We should get your stuff on here, even if
Thank you. I love her stuff. I love Joanne.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful. But I mean, your artwork is just what you're doing is stunning. It's inspiring, and I'm really so grateful for you taking the time to share this with me.
Thank you.
so
It's been
much.
so much fun. What an honor.
Yeah, just really good stuff. And what's next for you? Any big plans moving forward? Your next book?
I've
or-
always got something. Yeah, I always am working on a bunch of projects, so we'll see what gets finished first. But I'm working on a book for Pesach and a new show. I have some online courses in the works, specifically on friendship for kids and on davening. Good things, God willing.
That's beautiful. Bezrat
I have to just
Hashem.
stop scrolling on TikTok and get to work because
Right,
there's so much.
right. Get off of TikTok.
I
Right.
know, it's a real problem.
Sari, thank you so much. I'm so
Thank
grateful for your
you.
time.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much. And friends, we're going to be back next week with another The Future Story. Now, I'm really excited. Next week, we're going to be with Rabbi Tobias Moss. Rabbi Tobias has been a fellow panelist with me on a whole bunch of shows, including Synagogue Tech Forum and on Office Hours. He's just a really unique, wonderful, musical, technological guy who's doing really fantastic stuff for his community. And I'm going to say hi to my mom because I can see that she's watching. It all sounds so exciting. Yes, Mom, go to thatjewishmoment.com. See, sorry, even my viewership doubles when my mother watches. It's fantastic.
You gotta love moms.
You gotta love moms. All right, my friends, that's it for today. I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing a big Torah Tech Tips. I've been thinking a lot about what is the one tool that I use that has really made all the difference. I've decided that there is no one tool, that it's actually the ecosystem that I've built for myself. So tomorrow I'm going to do a walkthrough of my ecosystem, how I use these tools. It's going to be a little bit longer than usual, and maybe you'll be inspired to find some tools that will help you share your best Torah. So until then, I'll see you later. Bye.